the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the magnificent new Tornus The Redeemed, otherwise known as a Knight Azyros. We are going to be painting him up as Tornus The Redeemed, so a Hallowed Knights one, basically. And, well, Games Workshop have been very kind and sent me him early. Now, I've been looking forward to painting him for a very long time, so we are going to jump in and we are going to start painting him. He's been primed in Grey Seer. And the colour we're going to be using first is a roughly 4 parts Bad Moon Yellow to 2 parts Lahmian Medium mix. And we'll be starting out here on the wings. Basically what we want to do is we want to apply this over the top of the entirety of the wings. Including the flames. So with that all done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Iyanden Yellow, and we're going to apply this over 2 areas. So the 2 areas are going to be the actual wing blades themselves, and we want to overlap the wings so that we get that nice orangey shading that Iyanden Yellow can give us. Into the recesses. Just like that. However, the other thing we're going to do here is towards the tips of the wings is we're going to do a bit of blending. So we're going to start down here and we're going to apply this up to around about there, and we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then just blend the two together. I'm going to do this along all of them, so we're going to go like so. I'm going to wash that brush. And give it the blends. It's quite a subtle little colour transition. But don't worry, that's exactly what we want. And so with that done, we need to add just a little bit more orange to the tips of the flames. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Fuegan Orange and we're just going to apply this . Like so. We'll wash the brush, touch off the water, and smooth out that transition just a little bit, but we only needed to add just a little bit more orange towards this kind of the furthest flames away from the body. Like that. So with that all done, we're going to come away from the wings for now, and we're actually going to move on to our next main sort of colour, which is going to be some thinned down Grey Knight Steel, and we're going to apply this over top of all of our Azyros and his silver armour. With all that Grey Knight Steel applied all the way around, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Space Wolves Grey. I'm going to use this to shade all of that Grey Knight Steel. Just like this. So with that Space Wolves Grey all applied, what we're now going to do is work on all the blue, and there's quite a lot of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking some Talassar Blue, and I'm going to apply this all over the top. Now this is going to include his skirts, and the smooth shoulder pad up there. However, it's not going to include the middle bit of cloth here, the tabard. What we are going to do is there's little bits of mail that are kind of scattered around him. I'm going to apply this over top of the border of those. As well. And I should point out that this Talassar Blue is over the top of the inside of this skirt as well. With all of that Talassar Blue applied, we're then going to take some Ultramarines Blue, and we're going to apply this over the top. So with all of that Ultramarines Blue applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the leather details. and any kind of joints and gaps in the armour. If you can find them, there aren't that many. With that Black Legion applied, we're then going to take some Blood Angels Red. And we're going to apply this over the top of the wrap. With that Blood Angels Red applied, we're then going to once again take some Iyanden Yellow. Only this time we're not going to do any thinning down. Instead, we're just going to apply this over the top of the lantern's windows. With that Iyanden Yellow now applied, we're going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to apply this over the top of the parchments. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour, and we're going to apply this over the top of, well, a number of the remaining details. So we're looking for things like the kind of decorative and I guess protective details here on the spear, like that sort of thing. We've got all the trim on the armour, this shoulder, this back bit here. We've got the caps on the wings, like so. Got the belt buckle. We've got this bit down here. We've got the doors back here, and so on and so forth. There's a whole lot of gold. So with all of that Retributor Armour applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of our remaining details, excluding the bits that are going to be white, which are the bit on the shoulder and of course that tabard on the front. So with all that Iron Warriors applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to add some shades to the model, and the first of these is going to be some Gore-Grunta Fur, and we're going to apply this over the top of the chainmail. And with that Gore-Grunta Fur applied, we're then going to take some Guilliman Flesh. I'm going to use this over top of the rest of the gold. And so with that then done, we're going to take some Nuln Oil. I'm going to use this to shade the Iron Warriors. Just like that. And we'll do the other side just so that we've got the blade all complete. But what we're also going to do with the Nuln Oil is we're going to use this over the top of our white bits. And with those shades all applied, Tornus the Redeemed is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. However, we are not going to leave him there. Of course not. We're going to take him to the next level, and we're going to do this by adding some layers, some highlights, bit of blending, and possibly some freehand. We'll see how we feel. So the first colour we're going to be using is some thinned down Corax White, and we're going to be applying this over the top of the wing feathers. Now, we just want to get this over the flat sections of each of these wings. Just like that. However, what we're also going to do with this Corax White is we're going to use this now to relayer the tabard as well. So with all that Corax White applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Dorn Yellow. And what we're going to do is we're going to thin it down a lot more than we would normally, so sort of 5 or 6 parts water, and we're going to use this over the top of the flames quite roughly, like this, up to around about that sort of area. Then we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and we're just going to go in there, and like we do with the contrast paints, we're just going to feather away at the transition so you get this blend going where you got the hottest part of the flame kind of right there in the middle. Hence why we thin it down so much. brush. So with that then done, sticking with Dorn Yellow, what we're then going to do is these kind of sharpest raised areas in the flames towards the top. We're just going to add little light points. Just like that. So with that all done, we can actually call the wings now finished. So what we're going to do is move on to our next colour, which is going to be the silver armour. Now the colour we're going to be using first here is some thinned down Iron Hands Steel. I'm going to be using this to relayer the flat panels, avoiding the recesses, so we keep that lovely blue shading. But we do want him to be ever so shiny. So with that all done, before we finish off the silver armour, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker, and we're going to use this to highlight our Iron Warriors areas. Now some of you will have noticed already that I actually, for the cutting edge of the spear here, we've applied that Iron Hands Steel, but for the little blades we haven't done that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Ironbreaker here to highlight the blades, the chain and the lantern. Just like that sort of thing. And so with all that Ironbreaker applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Stormhost Silver, and we're going to use this to highlight the armour, but also the cutting edges of our large spear. So with that all done, what we're going to do is we're going to once again take that Dorn Yellow. I'm going to thin it down again with roughly 4 or 5 parts water, and we're going to apply this inside the runes on the spear. Like that sort of thing. However, what we're also going to do is we're going to apply this over the flat windows of the lantern. So with all that Dorn Yellow applied, we're then going to take some Gryph-Hound Orange, And what we're going to do is we're going to apply this over the top. Of the runes on the blade, like that. Wash the brush, and then I'm going to take off most of that Gryph-Hound Orange. And so with that done, if the blade is looking a little too orange to you, what we can do is we can take some black Templar and wipe most of it off your brush, and then apply this like so over the top, over the flat of the blade. Which will just isolate those runes and darken down the orangey fieriness. So with that all done, it is now time to move on from silver details, and well, we're going to go on to the gold next, and the colour we're going to be using first here is once again some thinned down Retributor Armour, and what we're looking to do here is relayer any of the kind of wide open details just like that. So we've got the kind of, well, those decorative pieces on the blade. Like so. We've got the shoulder here, so like the nose and the beak. We've got these pieces here on the back. And we've got the kind of headdress as well as this bit here. With that Retributor Armour reapplied, we're then going to take a roughly 2 parts Stormhost Silver to 1 part Retributor Armour mix, and we're going to use this to highlight all of our gold. So with that all done, we've actually done most of the miniature at this point. There's only a couple of things left to do, and one of those is all of the blue. Now before we jump into doing all the highlighting on the blue, you might have a couple of little mistakes here and there on your blue. So what we're going to do is we're going to just show you how to correct that if you need to, and that is by taking some Kantor Blue and filling it down with sort of like 3 or 4 parts water, make it nice and runny, almost like a glaze consistency. And then you can just apply this over the top of your mistakes. Just like that, for example. It can be used to kind of punch up colours and stuff like that, but really what we're looking for here is to just use it as a kind of corrective layer. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Hoeth Blue. I'm going to use this now to highlight all of our blue. And with all that Hoeth Blue applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Fenrisian Grey. I'm going to use this to add a little spot highlight to the sharpest points in our blue. So with that all done, similarly to the blade, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Baharroth Blue and we're going to thin it down with sort of 4 or 5 parts water. I'm doing a lot of that in this one. And we're going to use this to add some of that blue glow. So there's 2 areas. One is here on this doodad hanging from his belt. And we just want to apply this in the gaps and the rune. Like that. And the other is his eyes. So with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down white scar and we're going to use this to highlight the cloth . So with that white scar highlight applied, we're then going to take some Blood Angels Red and we're going to apply this over the top of this gem. Normally we'd say do it over the top of all of the gems, but I just had a little look around. Pretty sure this is the only one. And with that Blood Angels Red applied to the gem, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to highlight the parchment. And with that Screaming Skull all applied, we're now going to take some Cygor Brown. I'm going to finish the model off by adding some little text lines on the parchment. And so with his base now complete, Tornus the Redeemed is now finished in his new Azyros form. I mean, he never had his Venator form before in model format, but here he is. I really like this model. I think it's fantastic. It's a push fit model, which is absolutely incredible. So it went together really nicely, and then painting it was really very fun. I kind of want to get another one for another one of my Stormhosts. Yes. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/Warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.